What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another video. And you know, I want to talk about the lawsuit. Um, and there's definitely, hundreds of videos, I'm sure, that are going to give you a much better explanation legally, that are keeping up with the trial every minute, every second, every, witness, every person on the stand testifying, all that jazz. I'm sure there are plenty of better content creators, legal people, journalists that are can do that way better than I could possibly do. Um, and I acknowledge that. And so what I want to do is give you my opinion of everything that I know and come up with who I side with, who I would say, okay, I think they're making the claim that I agree with. And I feel like there's this preconceived notion, there's just I don't know, like the thought out there right now that everybody is on Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan and Front Row and Bob Jenkins' side. And to me, like I think it's split more than people like to talk about. I mean, if you go on Twitter, if you go on X, yes, it's very, very heavily, I feel like, concentrated in people that, feel like NASCAR are going to lose, that feel like NASCAR are a monopoly, that feel like NASCAR should be torn down, and that Denny and Michael and Front Row are doing the right thing and making a good case and a claim. But I mean, Facebook, Reddit, I've seen a lot of differing opinions of kind of old school NASCAR fans that say, why are you trying to tear down something that has been built for many, many years, over 75 years NASCAR has been around. And, why are you trying to just tear it down and all the good that it's brought for 75 plus years? I've seen that side as well. Um, and again, like I understand both sides. I understand, why Front Row and Denny Hamlin and 2311, I understand why they're suing. I understand why NASCAR is living by their model. I get it all. And with, everything I've read and seen, which I feel like is, as much as the average person reads, that's an avid NASCAR fan. That's where I'm at. So I hope by making this video, you guys can probably relate a little bit more to me and like my headspace on this whole thing versus, journalists that are going to go way over the top on some of this stuff and maybe content creators who, have been following this thing a lot more closely than I have. So overall, I think NASCAR actually has a very, very good chance to win this lawsuit based on, what I've seen and I feel like a lot of just when you get into legality of things, how things are written. I mean, if you have a good lawyer, if you have a good attorney, they can wordsmith, and that's what a good attorney does, right? They find kind of loopholes and all that good stuff. It's why I never went into that. I mean, that is not my forte. Um, but I think NASCAR has pretty darn good chance to win this thing, even with, again, I feel like a lot of people think that, you know, Jeffrey Kessler and Front Row and 2311 are just going to go right for the throat, attack NASCAR. And, with some of the texts that have came out, oh, NASCAR, they're operating as a monopoly. Those guys are slime balls, sleazeballs, whatever. And that's that. And, but I feel like a lot of what like the arguments or claims that 2311, Jeffrey Kessler, and Front Row are making, I feel like there's kind of some loopholes and different ways to interpret that. And again, I think when this goes through the legal process, I'm feeling like NASCAR, to be honest with you, is going to come out of here victorious. But that is not the case for this video. The case for this video is what I who I would side with and agree with. And with that being said, even though I think NASCAR is going to come out of this lawsuit victorious, I side with Denny Hamlin in front row, and here's why. As I mentioned, I think there's some, you know, accusations that are a little kind of how do I say this? A little over the top. One being, around other series and like NASCAR itself as a brand and an organization, um, you know, like just is a monopoly in the sense that any other racing series that comes up and tries to, build a brand and make a name for itself, it can't happen because NASCAR controls really stock car racing in America. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I think if you have a good product and you build a good product, people are going to watch that. Again, World of Outlaws has been built on a solid product with history and drivers, big name drivers in that sort of community. And World of Outlaws seems to be doing just fine. SRX, although it didn't last long, it tried, right? It was around for a little bit. They obviously don't have the money that NASCAR has. We're learning NASCAR's $5 billion organization valued at, which is huge, huge money. NHRA has built a series, a successful series. I mean, again, it's successful, I guess, could be misinterpreted maybe or interpret a lot of different ways, but NHRA is there. Um, so to me, like like no other series can operate within stock car racing and American motorsports. Well, that's again, I think that's a little maybe not, cut and dry as much as that claim wants to make. Um, I think, there's the other aspect where, I've heard Denny Hamlin talk about the fact that, hey, we can't go race. Like 2311 is stuck within NASCAR. We can't go race other, places and series. Again, I think there's a lot to that. I mean, I think the drivers, I mean, I know the drivers, Kyle Larson did the Indy 500. Denny Hamlin raced in at SRX. Tony Stewart has done so many different things, was doing a lot of different things at a lot of, at the same time, rather, being in NASCAR. So, Kyle Larson races World of Outlaws. Christopher Bell races World of Outlaws. It's more up to the teams on if they want their drivers going into different places. Rick Ware Racing has a branched out, part of their brand that is within NHRA. So again, like to me, I feel like again, this is just me, like, very surface level. I don't know how far that'll go in court, to be honest with you. So I think there's a lot of, you know, claims within this monopolistic kind of action or brand or how they run um, within that to me, I think can kind of be argued in favor of NASCAR. But overall, the fact of the matter is that Denny Hamlin in front row and Michael Jordan and, you know, Jeffrey Kessler, they want more money for the teams, or they want NASCAR to be able to say to the teams, you don't have to buy single source parts, right? You can buy and do what's economically, fundamental for your brand and your business as a part of us. And to me, when I read that over 70% of the teams are not making profits, and Hendrick Motorsports hasn't turned a profit in over 20 years, and teams lose money year in and year out. And we know now that NASCAR is, turning around a 150 million profit a year. It does seem a little unfair. It seems like the way that NASCAR is run is not viable for the teams. And again, is that the fault of NASCAR? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. But what I do know is the fact that Denny Hamlin, and his case is he wants more money for the teams and more freedom for, his brand to for him to run his brand and business the way that he wants to run his brand and business. And right now, it seems like, and I feel like we can all say that NASCAR does have too much control in allowing that to happen. And so, with all that being said, that is why I feel like, or I would side with Denny Hamlin. But again, there's a lot of things that I think he is putting in that lawsuit, or they want to argue for, that I think NASCAR wins in most cases. But the bottom line of how this all started, is the fact that these teams cannot operate in a way where they are able to make a solid profit year in and year out. And we know, again, NASCAR is making a large profit where the teams are not. So there's a discrepancy somewhere. Again, how that goes through the legal process and legal system, not sure. But overall, I think the claim, like I said, by Front Row in 2311 is one that I side with and agree with. But again, with all that being said, I think NASCAR is going to come out victorious in court. Um, that's how I look at this. That's how I see this thing. I feel like NASCAR is going to come out of here being the winners of this lawsuit. I think there's going to be a lot of bad that comes from this with NASCAR, with the text that we've already seen. I'm sure with a lot of witnesses and what they'll say, a lot of the, numbers and data and statistics that'll come out. But in the end, I just feel like, you know, it's a lot to ask to take down the root of something that has been successful and built for 75 years. I just don't see how Kessler and that team can win this battle, quite frankly. But overall, I like them too because I think their case is one that I side more with. Um, So again, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna call this like, NASCAR Court for Dummies or the NASCAR lawsuit for dummies. Like that to me is like I feel like what I'm putting out here right now. But I think I'm just, talking at a very surface level view. But I'm giving you my opinion on who I feel like is making, is the group that I would say, I agree with them. I agree with them. I side with them in this whole thing. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Who do you side with? Are you siding with NASCAR? Do you think NASCAR is going to win? Are you siding with Hamlin and that team? Do you think they're going to win? There's so much to this. I think it's going to be a long, drawn out process, and I have no idea where any of this goes, but it's going to be interesting to follow and see the outcome. But as always, appreciate you guys watching. Give this video a like. If you enjoy what you're watching, it goes a long way for the channel. Please hit subscribe as you can continue to watch great motorsports content as we, just continue to make our way throughout the off season back into February for the Daytona 500. And yeah, make sure you keep watching. Thanks.